morning. This is Dr. Ken Long from Staff Section 13 Charlie in Delta. This is January 6, 2015 with a thought experiment about force protection through the eyes of a rear battle commander. I'm going to start my thought process here by assessing the enemy's portfolio of capabilities. Our enemy today has the ability to do sniping, chemical, rockets, aviation, attack aviation, special ops. He can gather intel and sense on us, artillery, IEDs, civil unrest, conventional operations, electronic, cyber, economic, and then media exploitation. There's a corresponding list of friendly countermeasures that can be used to disrupt, degrade, intercept, or destroy all of these enemy capabilities. So you can imagine what that list might be. It's going to feature active and passive measures like OPSEC. So I have some things that I can do against it. I've also got to consider the area of operations. So we're looking at the country of Georgia, country of Azerbaijan. I'm concerned about different regions on the battlefield, such as the area at the reception ports, long single line of communications through the mountainous regions, a large city that has our tactical assembly area and a life support area, a international border, a theater assembly area, a divisional operational area, and then a CFLIC or core area of operations. And the enemy's capabilities are going to be variously expressed in all of these different regions, and then at different times as I consider the different phases 1 through 6 in the operation, his portfolio of capabilities has to be refined to account for the phase and the location on the battlefield. The next thing I'm going to do is consider the calculus of risk management and force protection. So I'm going to consider for each region by phase and by capability the probability that the enemy is willing to use that asset, the degree of damage or the lethality that has in terms of direct effects or force order effects, and that's going to represent my risk. After I've factored in what my proposed countermeasures are going to be, I can mitigate that risk, and I come up with something like a modified risk. When I take that into account, I'm going to be developing some sense of the enemy's course of action or different capabilities. In my view, from a rear battle commander, the enemy's course of action is to hurt us whenever he can, as often as he can, as hard as he can, whenever he can, at low risk to his asset. So he really is looking for constant sensing and probing, and a high payoff target for him is not necessarily what we would consider a high payoff target, but something that allows him to at least exploit the media campaign and cause low risk damage to us. In other words, low risk to his assets so he can sustain that operation. He builds on success and is able to recruit on the basis of being able to tell the story that he has power and he can affect us. So what we might consider to be a trivial effect on our operations could actually be a significant operational advantage to him. When we think about first order, second order, and third order effects, think of this in terms of a linkage between cause and effect, a series of causes and effects. And so let's consider a brigade support area with a sustainment unit that's providing support to a combined arms maneuver brigade. And he's got a mission to cross an LD and to conduct an attack. So an enemy threat, or even a perceived threat against this assembly area, against this support area, might have a first order effect of causing the sustainment work to stop and every man to the north wall to defend against that threat. So the cause is threat to the brigade support area. The effect, the first order effect, is cease sustainment work and provide 100% security. So in this case, we've made the trade-off decision to go to 100% force protection instead of 100% mission support. We could have gone 50-50 or a third, two-thirds, but in this case, let's say that we elected to go to 100% force protection. This effect of 100% security and 0% mission support now becomes a cause. And the cause is going to produce an effect, and the effect is a degradation of support to the maneuver brigade. The effect is reduced combat power that now becomes a cause, and now I may have to delay crossing the line of departure, or I may have to shift the main effort or attack at less than my desired combat power percentage, and that becomes the second and third order effects, the decay of combat power, the delay of the mission, or the effect on the mission. So when we think of first, second, and third order effects, think of it in terms of a linked set of cause and effect. Now, let's consider the rear battle now to be the rear area battle to be an area on the battlefield that has a series of bases organized into base clusters with routes and lines of communication that protect these, and I have to routinely send support convoys down these roads. I probably cannot afford 24-hour physical security. I can't put a squad of guys every 100 meters or I run out of combat power, and now my ability to conduct offensive operations is degraded. I have to consider, is the support being provided by host nation or U.S. or coalition? If it's host nation, is it being provided by military forces or their police forces, and what's their capabilities, and how much risk am I taking on by going with host nation securities? Instead of 24-hour physical security, what I might have to do is go with route clearance. I have to think about this. Should I do it periodically, like sweep the roads every day? Should I do it situationally, where I clear the roads 2 hours before a scheduled convoy? Do I have the ability to use alternate routes? What are my engineer, MP, and aviation assets that allow me to conduct these kinds of securities? I might have to think of moving bubbles of security, such that I have a convoy that's occupying this much road space, and I want to provide an umbrella of security by having a route clearance element at the front that provides security in between the scouts and the lead element of the convoy, security with the convoy, a trail party for security. And so while this convoy is moving down the road, I have a bubble of security. And when I have my scheduled convoys, I might have a series of these logistical pulses. And then the space between the convoys is something where I'm accepting risk, where the enemy has an opportunity to provide effects in there, which hopefully I've mitigated by the use of a route clearance element. So rather than being able to man the 600-kilometer lock 24 hours a day, what I might have to do is settle for this kind of moving security. And now what I have to do is have some way to understand my battle space in terms of the enemy's capability and his portfolio of threats based on phase and location. And perhaps what I need to do is have a series of smaller areas, and I might use some forecasting techniques and say that route is green because threat is not expected and not possible, and I have a high degree of security. I might have an area that is red where attack is imminent or probable. And so now I have to have a way to integrate all my sensing and collecting and my analytical capabilities and provide this kind of area security evaluation across, at the operational level, my entire joint operational area. So it might be green at the ports, I might be green on this block, I might have some red areas on the south side of the TAA, and I have to have a way to disseminate this to all my base and base cluster commanders so that I can get inside the enemy's decision making. It's no use having all this information organized and analyzed and put onto paper and then left static. It has to be a dynamic process that allows me to gather, fuse, analyze, distribute information in a way that allows me to make sensible decisions about force protection. And so the essential coordination between the sustainment cell and the protection cell has to do with the rear battle commander being able to make sound and timely decisions between the degree to which he is conducting force protection and the degree to which he is doing mission support. If all I do is 100% mission support, I'm going to start losing my support forces, and now support to the brigades are decayed. If I do 100% force protection, I'm providing zero support to the brigades because everybody is now defending themselves instead of providing support. So I'm constantly trying to find what the right trade-off is that allows me to do maximum mission support with the minimum reasonably sufficient force protection. So now in the protection cell, there has to be a fusion of intel information, friendly information from the S3 to itemize the capabilities that we have on the Blue Force side. The S2's assessment of enemy capability, I have to have signal to allow me to distribute. I have to have the sustainment's concept of support and concept of operations so that we can measure the potential effects of enemy capabilities on sustainment operations in order to make these sound and timely decisions. So there's a constant requirement for those cells, operations, intel, sustainment, and force protection to work together in order to ensure that we can get timely support and maintain combat power forward. Thanks for your kind attention.